Del Rio, Texas. Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded live Saturday, 21 September 2013, episode 79, That's What I Like. And welcome once again to another exciting episode of Two Guys Who Dive, and I'm your host, Rob Wade, and I'm here with...
Robert Garza.
Who got in here just at the nick of time. I mean, I'm running the opening credits, and he's popping in. So I'm sure he's all excited to share a little bit of news with us here shortly in the podcast. And excuse me one moment while I bring our regular guest appearance by Ronan here. All right, say hi to everybody.
There it is, right on cue.
Well-trained dog.
Well-trained.
So, we got a lot going on today. This has been kind of an interesting, busy day for me trying to recover from all the rains that we've had here in Del Rio. Crazy. Yeah. You know, of course.
But well needed.
Oh, absolutely. I've already seen some pictures of Lake Amistad, and it's already feeling the effects of all the rain that we've been getting, not just over Del Rio, which was torrential the end of this week, but also it was a huge amount of rain to the west and the north of us, feeding into all the big rivers that feed Lake Amistad. We even had yesterday morning we even had a tornado warning out at the base.
Well, we there at school, the sirens
they
started
went crazy.
I mean, everything was going crazy, and everybody was like, do we let the students go? Do we let them move? What do we do? And it was kind of like standstill there for a while. What do you mean by it was standstill? Well, the thing is, they weren't allowing the students to kind of move, from one classroom to the next. They kind of had them, I guess, locked down. It was kind of like a semi-lockdown.
Well, and we have a process now at the base where we do what they call shelter in place. Right.
And apparently, we're supposed to be doing these, I think, once a month or something. So since the kids were kind of locked down, I guess they're going to count that as like their monthly lockdown, practice or whatever.
Oh, okay. So you guys actually do go through
procedures, yeah.
Regular.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Cool. Like everything else, we have our monthly fire drills and everything else that we have to maintain because we got to keep the state happy.
So who all participates when you do those, and are they typically during the regular school day?
They're during the regular school day, and usually every campus has to do it at least once within. I don't even know what the actual criteria.
A quarter or something like that.
Probably. And so it's kind of like whenever they get it done, they go ahead and do it. I know the fire drills are done once a month. As far as the actual
now, do they actually have like the fire department participate where they come in and they set the alarms off, or they just say it over the intercom, the PA system or whatever, and say okay?
They pretty much they have an alarm that they go ahead and sound off, and
sound off.
all the students just vacate. So it's something that they just do.
Wow.
No, the fire department doesn't participate in these.
Right.
In fact, they're notified. Don't send units down here because we're doing our drill.
Because you're actually tripping the system.
They actually pull a lever. They pull the lever.
And do you get like any of the kids to say, okay, this is the one time, get it out of your system. This is the one time you get to pull it for real.
No, actually, the administrators are over there arguing about who gets to pull the lever down.
Really?
Yeah, they're like,
you're kidding me.
Well, who gets to do it?
Let me go do 3-year-olds or something?
Yeah, sort of. I guess it's those forbidden fruits that you see on the you want to do it, you know, you see them all over the place. I want to break the glass. I want to, you know, pull the lever, and I want to do this. But you don't, because you know the consequences.
Don't touch the lever. Yeah, no kidding.
So over here, they're like, okay, finally, go ahead and hit the lever. So
do you have any interesting anecdotes from those kind of practices? Versus the real thing where everybody gets to...
Well, during the real thing, everybody's going frantic. Everybody's just running everywhere.
Exactly.
You know, procedure goes out the window. The name of the game here, because we actually did have a fire at the high school not too long ago. And
that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you know, and it was... You know, the kids were just strolling everywhere, but we were actually trying to... They vacated the building quick. But the thing is, there was no procedure because we just needed them out of the building.
Right.
So it's like, just get out. So we just wanted to make sure that the building was secure. But, I mean, they were just all over the place. I mean, procedure went out the window there.
See, and that's why I really believe that practicing those kinds of things, and this is true in the home too, because you have something like that. What is your process? Does your family know what your actual process is? If the front door is inaccessible, how do they get out? Is there a way to get out the back door? And if so, where do you assemble? And that's one of the things that I see as a common failure with a lot of the exercising is people they don't just forget where they're supposed to escape through, but where to assemble. Where do they gather? Right. We practice this at the base where we actually have posted at various exits. Okay, if you're in this area, here's where your assembly point is, so that the people who are going to be making sure they can do a head count, that they know, okay, you should be over in this part of the parking lot or under this awning or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, we have the evacuation plans that are like posted. Okay, well, this building is supposed to exit out that exit, and you guys are supposed to meet over here in this
so there are appointed gathering places.
Yeah, but the thing is, like I said,
went out the window.
It went out the window. I mean, there was people just going across the street to the restaurant, to Los Betos, getting tacos and...
Oh, yeah, because it's chaotic and out of control.
You know, but the thing was, the biggest kicker here was, and we addressed it with the powers that be, but I don't think anything was done, is the students weren't really giving us trouble. You know who was giving us trouble?
The teachers?
The teachers, yeah. They were like, is this going to be over soon? Because it's hot out here. I'm like,
you're kidding me.
No, seriously.
No, wait a minute. This is for the practice or for the real thing?
No, this was the real thing.
And they're complaining because...
Yeah, the thing is, they were unaware that there was an actual fire. So I actually told the teacher, well, if you think it's hot out here, you want to go in there, it's going to be a lot hotter.
That's right. Just go right back in the building and fry.
You just go ahead.
You cook.
You just go ahead and...
you go in the building and do a little shake of bacon.
But they were just giving us such a hard time, and... We went ahead and voiced our concerns, and it probably went in one ear out the other. I don't know.
Of course, and that's a shame of it. And all of this really ties in with even what we have to practice with the diving. Mm-hmm. We teach the skill sets, and it's great. You can pass the course, but if you never practice those again, then when it comes to the real situation, and you've got water in your mask, and you've totally forgotten how to
clear it.
Simply slow down, calm down, and clear it. You're going to be a panic, and you might hurt yourself or even kill yourself trying to get to the surface.
Which is, and I guess I'll share this also with diving. It's, the mask clearing is probably one of the most, that and cramp removal.
Yep.
Because it's just something that happens at
those are the most frequent things that you deal with.
The water in the mask issue is something that you will just constantly have to deal with. Sometimes your mask is sealed right. Sometimes it isn't sealed right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can get kicked out of your face, off your face, like me. So, just recover it, clear it, and just continue on the dive.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't panic.
Right, and that's just it. If it's second nature to you, then you're well, let me rephrase that. You're less likely to panic. Because the skill sets, they're there for you, and you're not trying to remember everything all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you guys had sort of a semi-lockdown for the tornado warning.
Right. Well, it was the thing is also it was just since students move between campuses, they'll move from the high school over to the freshmen. They didn't want any students just walking back and forth in the rain, so they kind of just, well, let's go ahead and keep everybody here.
Can't watch on the you can't watch everybody with X number of teachers. I mean, you can go through all the practices, but if they're bound and determined to scatter to the four winds, you just got to hope.
well, there was some that said, they were calling over the radio and said like, hey, well, we got some students that are en route over to the freshman campus. We're like, let them go. They're going to get all wet anyway, so just let them go.
Well, yeah, but you would hope that they realize that, hey, if it's a tornado warning, that means something's been spotted.
Yeah, but you try to tell these kids, and it's like, it's like hitting them with rocks.
Yes.
There's just nothing up there,
Interestingly, when this all really started going crazy, I'm out the base at work, and my phone was just going crazy with the reverse 911 alerts.
Oh, okay.
And what was funny is the sound that it makes. I'd never heard that sound coming out of this phone before. I mean, it sounded like the little boo that you hear when they're testing on the radio.
Yeah, on the radios.
It was like that. I was like, wait a minute, what? Because at first I thought, because we have a TV so we can watch the weather, report stuff like that. So if we need to do stuff preparing the network for bad weather, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I'm partway down the hallway.
Throwing trash bags over the servers.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm partway down the hallway, helping one of the users with the issue, and I hear that boo. And I'm like, okay, guys, you got the TV up a little loud. I understand the weather's bad. So I run down there, and it wasn't the TV. It was my phone. It was just screaming all the way down the hallway. So I'm looking at it, and it had the little alert. There's a tornado warning. And
Yeah.
you must.
Yeah,
cool.
Sandy got that on her phone also.
Yeah.
And, I got
kind of
mine.
annoying. I'm like, I need to turn that off. I need to disable that feature.
Well, it's good to have it, I guess, in the event that you don't know weather's bad, but just look out the window and like, okay, things aren't.
Well, that's why I have the weather app, Live Tile, because it'll pop up a nice red alert thing show on there, and it will actually show it'll pop up a notification as you get those alerts. So,
well, that's what we got. We got notifications that weather was bad until 10 o'clock, or I don't remember what it said, but yeah.
But so that was kind of exciting, and we did the whole shelter in place. So everybody gathers in the hallway, and then gathers in our little place where we're protected. Or we thought we were protected. And then, we're listening to everybody's got it was so funny, everybody's got their cell phones. So some people are talking. Some of us are like playing games or checking apps or Facebook or whatever. And then our boss, who's the equivalent of a group commander, she's got her radio. So she's listened to all the traffic that's going on there. And we're like, okay, this is interesting. And you'd hear certain traffic, and she's like, do they realize we're in shelter in place? Because it's obviously they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be. They should all be like all the kids. It's like all the kids.
Well, and this was, again, here we go. They go ahead and make an announcement not to release students to the bathroom or to anything. And then what do? You see a bunch of kids in the hallway.
Of course.
You're like, hey, where are you coming from?
Right.
Oh, I'm coming to the bathroom. Well, yeah, I understand that, but where are you coming?
Right.
Oh, that teacher let me come to the bathroom. Like,
liar.
No, seriously.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they went and asked. They were like, hey, do you know you're not supposed to be letting students out? Oh, yeah, they said they had to go to the bathroom. They made an announcement. Don't do it. You see, they don't care. You see, because there's just
they don't take it seriously.
No, it's not that. My thing is that there is no consequences for the people for violating policy.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
My thing is, if you're going to do it, fine. You know what? You're going to pay the price.
The sad part is, the consequences will happen when somebody actually gets injured or, heaven forbid, killed.
Right.
Because they decided to not take it seriously. Because you shouldn't have to have artificially created consequences for doing something that's the smart thing to do.
It's common sense. If they tell you don't release anybody, sorry, you can't go. Let me, and if somebody says, well, look, I really have to go. You know what? Let me make a phone call.
There's a Folgers can, a coffee can right back here.
You know what? I can't give you permission. Let me make a phone call and let me find out, so that somebody can escort you to the bathroom if need be.
Absolutely.
And this way, it's, you're going from point A to point B and back to point A escorted, and hopefully there will be no problems. But these people just don't think, and it's like you said, it's not going to be until somebody gets hurt or killed that they're going to finally realize we need to start enforcing these policies.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
real quick, just like to jump out to anybody who's watching us live, go ahead and join our chat room. We got an active chat going, so as you're watching, there'll be a little bit of delay because of the way that Ustream works. But if you go ahead and comment in our, we're interacting with you live in the chat room, and then we will include your comments or questions in the conversation. So don't be afraid. I have one of my new friends from church, Brandy Doty, is. He's checking out the podcast, so it's like, okay, I'm on my tablet. I'm checking it out. So
cool. I also, real quick, I'd like to do a shout out to my compadres. Mando, Irene.
Are they watching? Do you think? Cool.
I think so. I told them about it. That's where I was actually at. Amanda, Cassie, and A3. If you guys are watching, get on the chat room. Like I told you all.
That's it.
If not, you can go ahead and see us later at your discretion on YouTube.
On the YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
but
yes.
If you have any questions, please just get on the chat room, ask us.
Yeah.
We're vast in a lot of things.
We'll just about field anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
We'll talk about it.
We might actually even talk about diving.
Yeah, and we will. If you have any questions about diving, absolutely get on there and do a shout out at us.
Okay, so this was finally, after a lot of lead up anticipation, iOS 7 finally came out, and as soon as I saw that it was rolling, I was texting you saying, "Hey, you installing it?" Because I didn't know if you would have an opportunity because of your work, but and then you kind of were giving me a little bit of a blow by blow or play by play on it. So what was your actual experience updating all your devices?
All right. Well, like anything else, and probably if you do have an iOS device or an Apple device, the servers tend to get bogged down quickly. I mean,
did. I saw all sorts of people complaining about it.
Big time. The first problem that I encountered was it downloaded the actual update, and I started with my iPad. It downloaded it, but then it told me that the update was unavailable. So then I was kind of like, all right. So then I tried it again, and then sure enough, it started to install. But that was the only time that it did it for me. Now, it installed with no problems. The only thing is, when I installed it, I didn't do a clean install. So it just kind of updated all of my current information.
Kept everything in place.
Right, it kept everything, so you didn't lose anything. So if you had, ringtones and stuff like that, it kept everything there. But for me, I kind of like just doing everything from scratch. So what I did was I went ahead and did a full reset on my iPad, and then the iOS was already updated to 7, so it stayed there.
Right.
And of course, I lost all my contacts, pictures, and everything else. But then the minute I entered my information, got back on there, it's uploaded to the cloud. So I got all my pictures, contacts.
There you go.
And then of course, when you use iTunes, anything you download will tend to stay in the cloud. So you can just go back there to your downloaded or previously purchased stuff, and then just resync it and bring it right back. So I didn't lose anything at all. And then I started with the second iPad. That one was flawless. I mean, it probably took 13 minutes to do the second one. Now, when I got to my phones, that was an entirely different issue.
Really? Now, which versions do you have right now?
I have the iPhone 4, 4S, and then, of course, my 5.
Okay.
So the first one that I did was the iPhone 4, which is my son's, which is actually here, which is a problem that he just told me about. He accidentally entered the passcode, and he forgot it or typed it in wrong.
Oh, no.
And now the phone is disabled. So I'm trying to figure out how I can unlock it.
I would be willing to bet you can go online and re-enable it. It's probably information you have to enter to unlock it.
Right. The thing is, though, it won't sync with the iTunes because it's saying that the phone is locked. But since I was rushing over here, that's why I was rushing late, because I was trying to do some research on it. So I'll probably mess with it later tonight. I'm sure it's going to wipe the phone, which is fine.
But that wasn't so much an issue with the update. That was just more not remembering.
No, this happened. This happened just now. This had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But the update to the iPhone 4 also went great, not a problem. Now with the 4S, my wife's phone, that one took a little bit longer to download. That one took about almost 40 minutes.
Wow.
Because that one was actually later in the evening.
Yeah.
I think everybody was at the house and started it just bogged down on network. That's the only thing I can think of. But again, once I downloaded and installed with no problems, my iPhone 5 updated like what I tell you, like in 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It was quick, but then that one was being done almost at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So that one was like real fast and no issues at all.
Well, the complaints that I started seeing from my friends, some of my friends who have iPhones, and then just on the internet in general, was people, I guess, if they have the units with less memory, it was just, they were like, I am deleting everything off of here and it won't install the update. So I guess you had to make sure you either had a pretty clean machine or did a fresh install, or you had like the 64 gigabyte version.
See that's the actual key right there. Space. These devices, I mean, any phone out there right now, whether it be an iPhone, an Android phone, a Windows phone, anything, most of them now come pre-built with, internal memory. Of course, the more memory, like the 64, the more cash you're going to have to dish out for the device.
Right.
But a lot of these people that had these iPhones were like, 8 gigs or something like that.
And they've got it packed full of music.
They got like 7 gigs of music, so that leaves very little for the operating system. Or you got a lot of pictures or whatever it is. You don't have a lot of room, so naturally you're going to have to take some stuff off.
Right.
And that's a trade-off. My advice to you is, save up. And I know a lot of people can't do this, but save up a little bit of money and get a device that has more gigabyte storage. I would encourage that. That's the only thing I would actually tell people is, you know what, go for the higher storage.
Yeah.
Especially like us. I mean, we store everything in here.
Yep. Even though the cloud is great, and we've had this discussion before, the problem with total reliance on the cloud is not, at least from my perspective, it's not an issue of do you trust the data there. It's I don't always have access to high-speed internet via cell.
Right.
Or certainly Wi-Fi. I mean, obviously at the house or a lot of people's homes or a few restaurants, but it's not like a big city where you have LTE everywhere you go and every store you walk into, they've got free Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. We just don't have that here on the border of Mexico. So there's a fair, and if you do any traveling, if you want to listen to some music, you're not going to be spending a lot of time on Pandora or iHeartRadio or any of those because you're going to drop a signal pretty quick as soon as you leave the greater Del Rio metropolitan area.
Yeah, tell me about it. Especially if you're going to Junction.
Oh, yeah.
Junction.
Or Balmaray.
Balmaray, there's nothing out there. Trust
exactly.
Me. You pass, what's that? Rock Spring? No.
Oh, you pass Comstock, and that's it.
That's it. It's over.
You are. If you hit a peak, you might get a signal.
You might get a quick E on your phone.
That's right.
So naturally, you're gonna want to store
a fair amount of music, and
stuff like that. I don't really have videos on my phone. That's the only thing. I take pictures and I have music.
I have a few YouTube videos that I bring down.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, so just depending on what you're going to do with it, but I would encourage you. I know it's a little bit more, but it's well worth it in the long run. Your device is worth more if you decide to get rid of it. And plus, it'll last you longer because you can store more stuff on it.
That's true. Okay, so the install went fairly flawlessly for you. Now, as far as you and the family using devices, any areas where like, love this part, this part, meh, this part, boy, that was kind of a mistake.
All right. Well, like anything else, the one thing that I noticed is between the two phones, of course, you have the iPhone 4 that has the processor.
Right.
And then you have the iPhone 4 that has a faster processor, and you have the 5 like mine has got the A6.
Really fast,
real fast. You can tell the difference as far as, the smoothness and stuff like that. The 4 is smooth, but it doesn't start off that way. It's like, I don't know, it's weird, because once you start actually, using the device, manipulating the icons and stuff like that, using it does tend to get faster. It's just at first, it kind of lags, and that bothers me. I don't like that.
No, me too.
My wife's 4S actually is real smooth, real cool. The only thing is a lot of the features that
weren't fully supported. Yeah, I was reading about that.
Yeah, and that was the only thing that was a bummer. It was kind of like, what's going on? I mean, come on. So that was the only thing. But on my 5, I got everything. So, like, for example, they were using...
I would hope so, because the 5C is essentially the same device, and it better support all of iOS 7.
It better. Like, for example, one of the cool things, or they kept harping on, well, you have AirDrop. Well, that's great, but it's not on the iPhone 4S because it's not supported on the 4S. So it's like I can't just, send a picture. I can't just do that.
I have to admit, I love the Play 2 feature, which is essentially like AirDrop. Mm-hmm. It's basically DSLA. I always get the letters mixed up. Where if your TV or your Blu-ray player or whatever, it supports it, you can just flip stuff to it. I love
just send
that.
It. And they're trying to harp, okay, well, if you have Apple TV, you can do this. Well, you can't do it with the 4S. I can do it with my 5, but not that. So there was some things. It's a lot smoother on the 4S. On the 4, you're going to see some hesitation, little hesitation with some of the manipulation of the screen. Aside from that, my son picked it up pretty quick. He likes it. My wife doesn't really mess with it. She just texts and goes to Facebook.
So it was really not a big issue.
It was for her. She's like, I like the colors.
It's interesting. I saw some of my friends on Facebook. Their reaction was, it's kind of cartoonish. And I was like, well, they decide that's where they wanted to flatten out the UI.
The change for me is nice. I liked the color and everything else from the original, the iOS 6. To me, it just seemed very professional looking, except they could have done something different with the icons, and that I understand.
Yeah.
The color scheme and stuff like that, it brightens it up. It gives it a new lively look. I kind of like it. I liked the flatness, but the color scheme, I would have just preferred to stay with the more...
And I'm sure that's going to go through a metamorphosis, but I'd be curious to know over time if that negatively impacts the battery life. Because I do know, speaking from the Windows Phone experience, that you can switch your primary backgrounds either from white or black, and so all of your tiles or your emails or whatever can either be sitting on a dark background or a light background. And if you choose, and some people prefer the brightness of the white background, it will use your battery faster. And I'm just curious to see if something similar happens.
Now with this one, I just have the standard. I know that you can go in through like the mission control setting.
Let me switch to zoom in on you here.
If
wrong one. There we go.
If you go to the mission control, which is of course you're swiping from the bottom up, you get to where you can do the airplane mode, the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the sleep mode, and all these other things. You get a cool little flashlight thing now.
Yep.
But you can control the actual brightness setting. Now it's defaulted to to just your standard setting. Get a little closer.
There you go.
Okay, let me tilt this way. Okay. Anyway, well, I think
I need to get one of those overhead cams like Twit TV has, and so they can view stuff like that, and it's not glare.
Well, anyway, I'm pretty sure most of you people have already seen pictures of it anyhow, or a video about it. I have it to the standard now. One thing that my wife did, she likes it really bright, so she slid it all the way across to make it to the brightest setting. Now it looks very colorful, but I did notice that her battery is going down quick. Well,
but that's more an issue of the intensity of the LED lighting it up. But I was just curious if just by choice, just by them switching to icons or icons that are much brighter compared to the iOS 6, if that itself has any kind of impact. Because if you switch to the white heavy type tiles and screens and stuff on the Windows Phone, you can see a difference in the battery use. Yeah.
With this one, so far, just leaving
it. Haven't really had enough to.
Actually, I have. I've been using it since Wednesday.
Yeah.
Battery life has actually lasted me a lot longer now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So it did increase the battery life for me. and I'm constantly checking the weather, the stocks, the texting, you know, the phone calls and stuff
Right.
like that. So I've been using it pretty much vigorously for the last few days to see if I've noticed the battery life, and it has extended battery life.
Oh, good.
Yeah, for me. Now,
Your mileage may differ.
yeah, of course, you know, depending on what you do, and if you want it super bright, and you're going to go and increase the
Yeah.
intensity of the, you know, the light or whatever, I'm sorry, the brightness on the screen, it will, of course, it has affected Sandy's phone a lot. So
Really. Okay, so far, good experience for you.
for me, it's okay.
Awesome.
I don't have anything negative. Again, you know, I was more disappointed with the style of the phone, the iPhone 5S. I was kind of hoping, you know, they threw gold on it, and, you know, fingerprint reader and all that.
It's selling
Oh, they
out.
sold out like crazy.
Yeah, of course. What I'm hearing is it's kind of like the Windows phones. A lot of the Windows phones, they didn't really have a huge stock of them because I guess they were running into some of the manufacturing issues of the fingerprint scanner. They couldn't get enough of those made.
It's like anything else, you know, supply and demand. If they don't have the supply, then, well, demand's going to hurt.
You know it.
But I did go to the AT&T store here and talk to one of the girls.
Yeah.
And she was like, there was people waiting out there since 4 o'clock in the morning. They sold out of the 4S because they only got 100 of them.
Yeah.
And they only got in black. Or they didn't
Really?
They didn't get any gold.
The space gray.
They didn't get the space gray. They didn't get any of the white ones, and that people were just gobbling them up. The first ones that went were the 32 gigs.
Because they were cheaper.
They were $299.
Yeah.
And then the 16 gigs ones went after that, and then the only thing they had left, of course, were the $400 64 gig ones. And they said they didn't care. That people were like, well, how much? Well, it's for. I don't care. I want it. So they were buying it. But they actually sold quite a few of the iPhone 5Cs, the girl was telling me, but they still had tons of them.
I wonder what color was the most popular.
You know, I didn't ask, but they said they had all the colors.
Did you
available.
happen to check to see if that Lumia 1020 was still, what'd you say it was last time?
$32, but
Yeah.
I didn't make it to the back.
Oh, okay.
You know, where the phone, it's actually located in the back.
Because I have somebody who's got got one of the lower end Lumias, which he likes, but because now he likes it and he saw the 1020, he was like, I think I want to get a 1020.
Yeah.
He said, I just don't know if I can fork over the dollars. I said, my buddy said he was in our AT&T store.
You know what?
And
tomorrow after church, I'll go over there and I'll actually take a picture.
He's hot to, he likes the camera stuff. He's big into the photography, so that's his thing.
I think it's with a 2-year, of course, agreement.
Yeah.
Or if you qualify for the next program, you can get it for like $20. But
Cool.
no, again, no bad experience so far with the phone. Like it, battery life seems pretty good.
Good.
But we'll kind of, I'm still on the fence with the redesign of the 6. I want to see what that's going to do.
Yeah, what are they going to do, right?
Yeah. People say that they're not innovative anymore. I tend to disagree. I think they're going to ride out something that's selling well. Why change it if people aren't really complaining about it? They like it. So like you said, well, the only thing they really got to do, and they didn't hear it this time, is make the screens bigger. But I think it's something that they may come up with the iPhone 6.
The question is, how would they make it bigger?
Well, it's like you said.
They've got to stop. Yeah, they've got to get away from this weird internal idea that it has to be one hand. I mean, the popularity of the Galaxy Note should be enough to tell them and anybody else, you know what? Go ahead and make it too wide for single thumb to reach across it, because if people want a bigger screen, they're okay. They're obviously okay. At least a certain percentage of the market is okay with having to be two hands or use a stylus, whatever. The 1510 or 1520, whatever is the phablet, the Nokia phablet that's about to be coming out. That's going at right. That is squarely aimed at the Note. Squarely aimed at the Note.
Well, check this out. I was over there when I was looking there at the phones and stuff.
Right.
They had the Galaxy S4s, and then they had the Galaxy Note. And then right next to it, they have something that's called the Galaxy Mega.
Mega, yes.
Which makes the Note look small.
Yeah. Well, it's a mini tablet is what it really is.
But it's a phone, you know, and I'm like, I was telling
Well, did you ever see the Dell Venue? That thing was a big slab on your head.
Okay, well, here's my thing. If they've sold, let's just say anywhere, if they've sold over 100 of those Galaxy Mega, there's a demand for a wider screen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Somebody's going to pay the money for it.
Yep.
So that should be an indicator right there. You know what?
So
Let's
true.
make the screens a little bit wider. People aren't going to not buy our stuff.
Okay, Troy is our sometimes co-host. He's on the chat room, and he said, what models have you installed? He's asking you, what models have you installed the iOS 7 on? So he didn't catch that part.
Yeah, okay. Troy, I went ahead and installed it. I have 2 iPad 2s that I installed it on. It's not the ones with the Retina display. It's just not the first generation, the newer generation of iPads. And an iPhone 4, 4S, and my iPhone 5. So, again, no problems. The only thing that I've noticed is a little lag on the 4. That is the only thing. But then again, I would demonstrate it for you, but it's locked right now. My son forgot his passcode.
See, it's important. Know those numbers. Know those passwords.
Well, the thing is, he decided to go from the numbers to the actual keypad.
Oh, yeah.
So he thinks that he probably typed his finger must have hit
something wrong when he first created it.
And now he just can't remember.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, his fault. He's gonna lose all his stuff.
Ouch. Well, if he's got it backed up to the cloud, not a big deal.
He'll lose some of his contacts, but I think he's.
I just don't think there's any reason for anybody to lose any contacts on a smartphone these days.
Nope.
Just don't get it. Well, it's on my SIM card. Bad idea. Don't keep it stored on your SIM card, because what happens when you get a phone that maybe switches to a different kind of SIM card? Yeah. You're kind of up the old creek without the proverbial paddle. Yeah.
So.
All right. So the title episode this week is That's What I Like, and I kind of just wanted to show or put up here just a few dive vacations that either I want to go back and do again, or it's just been kind of on my bucket list or what
to-do list.
Yeah, my to-do list, places I want to go. So let me bring up the infamous slideshow.
You can't dive in space, Rob.
No, doggone it. Doggone. We were just talking about they have this this private company is taking names for people who want to be on the first one-way trip to Mars.
One-way trip?
One-way trip.
No coming back.
No coming back. They're trying to set it up where people would go and make the year-long trip, and they would be part of building the colony. And they're looking into utilizing such fairly new technologies as 3D printing to be able to take raw materials and basically print out all the components necessary to build habitats on Mars. You'd bring a bunch of stuff with you, but as basic life support, but then you would be part of the construction crew, the colony, building it. But there is no return trip. You're there for the rest of your life. I'm like, okay.
All right.
And people of all ages are signing up for this. They've got thousands of people who've signed up for this.
Let me ask you this. Is there a cost to make the trip? Well,
obviously it'd be a commercial venture, but the way they look at it, I'd have to read more about it, but I guess the way these entrepreneurs, these Kickstarters, if you will, would view it is they have a cost in human resources and actual transportation that is virtually cut in half, if not eliminated completely, because if I can send people to a place to go build, and I don't have to worry about bringing them back, then I don't have to come up with a return vehicle. I'm basically just shooting. I'm lobbing people at Mars. I'm just lobbing people and resources at Mars. As soon as you get there, start working.
I'm just throwing a dart on a planet, and that's it.
The only thing they have to do is make sure that they land all the crews in the same area so they continue the work. And then eventually they could probably reap the benefits of now you can rent space. I'm going to lease from your new building on Mars.
Well, it's like anything else. You got to start somehow, but they figure, you know what? If we send people over there, there's just not going to be, any way to come back. So, and I think once they get something established, like let's just say they do build a colony and they have like some sort of, city or something built on the surface of this place.
Right.
They'll probably do like, total recall to where you can go and come.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, real quick, back on the previous segment, Troy was asking in the chat room, did it install easily on the iPhone 4? And just
actually, it did. Had no problems with it. For some reason, I think it was the time that I actually started to install it on my wife's 4S. It took about 30, almost 40 minutes to install it on that one. But it was just a downloading process because it was right around 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I think it was just the network was just getting slammed at that time.
Yeah.
But for the 4, I did it right at 5 o'clock, and it installed with no problem. It probably took me about maybe 15 minutes.
But just be mindful, if you've got it full of a bunch of stuff, a bunch of music or whatever, you may have to delete a lot of stuff off there to have room to install.
That's correct. Robert did bring up that point earlier that apparently some people were having issues with installing a new OS, on a device if you're limited to space, because you're going to need space to install the extra added features. So you may have to delete some of the stuff or just do a clean install.
Yeah.
Which would probably be the best thing to do is wipe it, and then go ahead and then upload the new OS, and you'll find out how much space you actually have for music or anything else.
Right.
But, and that was the drawback I think these people were having.
Yeah. Okay, so back to, we're talking about some places to dive locations that I'm interested in either going to for the first time or returning to. Let's see, switch a little bullfrog there. It was, of course, Belize is one of those, and that is getting a lot of airplay by various TV channels or cable channels or satellite channels, as well as on the radio, of being a great place to invest for like buy land. I mean, they're really trying to draw people there. It's a English speaking, used to be a British colony. It was part of the British Honduras. And obviously, as you can see here, big attraction going there, aside from being a tropical paradise, is they have the serious Mayan ruins. Not like the little mamby-pamby, here's a couple of rocks that the Mayans dragged around with them on Cozumel. These are like some serious pyramid.
It's like Mexico City.
Yeah.
They got the real stuff.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So that's a big attraction.
Well, they're trying to get people down there since John McAfee left. They don't have that revenue anymore.
Right. That's what it is.
That squeeze money that they were getting from them.
So obviously that would be a huge attraction. I would love to actually see some real Mayan ruins. They have a cave system there that's pretty impressive. They actually have, you can see in the picture here, they have a lot of these caves there are carved out by rivers, by the river system.
Wow.
And so a popular entertainment or pastime or activity is cave tubing.
Cool.
So depending on the cave you're going to, I mean, they have like rapids that go in, so you can actually like seriously tear through the cave via a little river. I'm like, now that would be pretty awesome.
That is cool.
That'd be like going to a funhouse ride without having to worry about all the electrical stuff going on in there. But I'm like, oh, that would be pretty cool. And I imagine, there's probably cenotes and things like that.
Can you imagine having the resources to buy just a little piece of land, having a little place out there? That way you can just go diving whenever you want it.
I tell you, it looks... Every year I see what's going on in this country, and that looks really attractive.
Might as well pack up shop.
And I'll do a little bit of instructing on the side there and just retire there. And then, of course, the real main attraction is the Blue Hole.
The Blue Hole.
That is like awesome. Again, never been there. Always wanted to dive that. And you see it's so impressive because it basically is what's left of an underwater volcano.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. So that's definitely a place I want to go to. A place that Tara and I have already been, Curacao. I cannot say enough good stuff about Curacao. It's out there you're practically in the Atlantic because it's way over there off the coast of Venezuela. But it's got the island reminds me a lot of Del Rio and Valverde County because they don't see a lot of rain. Like we typically don't see. Recently. So they have a lot of cactus and short brush, like our mesquite.
Cool.
They have a lot of that, but their main town, Willemstad, is, as you can see, very colorful. The whole island is this way. Everybody paints their houses like this.
Wow.
Even the rundown shacks are painted like this.
Well, I saw the pictures you brought back from that picture when they throw all the lights on them.
Yeah, and it looks awesome at night.
It looked cool.
It just made, and then they have the little street musicians doing their thing, and so it's like a big party on the street. It's like being in, New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and but with a different language and different music, but it's pretty cool. And thankfully, you don't see a bunch of people who should not be flashing themselves.
Right.
Flashing themselves. You don't see that. It's like, oh, please put them away. But it's a beautiful area. Shopping is a little bit expensive, but not too horribly bad. And also, there in Willemstad, the opening to the main channel there, their main cove, because their big business there is dry docking, is this fort. And this fort, it's Fort Amsterdam. It's actually on both sides of the opening.
Oh.
So they, as you can see, it took a lot of attacks. Mm-hmm. Those are from, cannonballs and stuff like that from back in the day. Now, obviously, they've built up and have resorts and things like that. But it's pretty cool because on the other side, I wish I had a picture of the other side. It's got the emplacements and everything, but they've turned it all into various restaurants.
Oh, wow.
So you can go there and actually see some of the, this is where the garrisons stayed and all that stuff for defending the island from attack. But then you can also have really nice steak dinner or lobster or whatever. It's just
wow. But
really
no,
awesome.
What's cool is just to think that back in the day, that was just knowing that that's there. That just makes it the cool factor.
Exactly. Now, they also have this really expensive art gallery in there. I mean, it's one of those places you walk in, and you see something that may look like it was painted by a 4-year-old. $2,000. What? My 3-year-old can paint something that looks that good. It's just amazing.
We'll bring him down. He'll make
Here we go. We can hire him. He's like, we'll just live off our 3-year-old's income from doing these
he'll
paintings.
be rich.
That's it. And then, of course, basically just anywhere in Curacao is great diving. This is one of the little manufactured things. You actually see this in a lot of their logos, is this little trident creature. But
that's cool.
It is. It's
I want to put one of those at the lake.
Hey, if we can make one. I mean, get a well. Wanting.
You know what? I think I'm going to ask. Mr. Todson.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Todd Townsend. He's a welding teacher.
I didn't know that.
He's a welding teacher.
Big head Todd.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna tell him, hey, I'll take a picture. Can you make me something like this?
That would be cool.
Steel, and we'll just go out there and just place it.
That is a good idea. You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. That is an awesome. Well, I guess Troy's jumping out. I'll see ya. Yeah, that would be a great idea. And maybe get if somebody could make a metal replica, it wouldn't have to be detailed, but just where you could tell what it is, of the two eagles like we have on Amistad Dam.
Yeah.
That would be awesome to put down there too. But we'd have to put it pretty deep because the way the lake keeps dropping.
Yeah.
Although it's coming up, but I mean, as far as it dropped, I would not have guessed that the water would come down so low that the dive chest is 30, 40 feet out of water.
Yeah, that's crazy. But, that would, I think right now would be the time to do it because the water is low.
Yeah.
So if the water ever makes it back to its original level, it would
be
probably
a pretty good dive.
About 100 feet.
Yeah, that'd be a good dive. So in Curacao, there just is no spot that's bad diving. Obviously they have a lot of dive operations, but the shore diving, I mean, they basically take you to places that you could access from the shore. So it's all shore diving, really, and there's just we did not find a bad spot to go diving. It was all beautiful. Wow. So you just get to a place, stay at a location that has unlimited shore diving, and you just load up tanks and just kind of get a rental car and drive around the island. And the island's big enough that you can go. It would take us several trips to hit all the dive spots.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just beautiful, gorgeous place. All right, this one should be recognizable to most of you if you're at all aware of famous world locations, and this is, of course, Sydney, Australia. This is truly the bucket list thing for us. Australia is not a tiny island. I mean, it is a continent. Yep. So it's a misunderstanding to think you could just go there for a weekend kind of thing and really enjoy it. You'd have to spend basically 2 weeks if you want to do anything of any significance there. You probably would not have enough time to actually go do the outback kind of thing.
That would be on a 3 or 4
trip. Exactly, or a month-long trip.
Yeah. So
I figure on a 2-week trip, we could spend a week in the Sydney area and just see all the sights. And we would like to visit Hillsong Church because I just love their music, and they just have a great church there. But just see all the cool stuff of Sydney, and then of course going up to the Great Barrier Reef.
Yep.
That would basically take up all the rest of your time, is just diving there, because it is the largest contiguous reef system. And every time I see on Discovery Channel or Learning Channel or Science Channel or any of those, and they're showing all this diving there, and I'm just like, I just start drifting away. You
can't actually pick up a magazine without having a picture from something from the Barrier Reef.
Absolutely.
So,
and to having had a somewhat of an encounter with a shark before, I'm like, okay, I did not think at all. It was no big thing for me. So I'm like, okay, I could get this close and I would not freak out. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, he'll probably just swim away.
Exactly. I'm a noisy diver because I blow bubbles. I don't have a rebreather. I don't have a rebreather. So, and this is just another shot of the reef. All right, so next, we've been there before. I love diving the Florida Keys. If you want to go on the cheap and not have to actually leave the continental United States, there is just nothing like going to Florida. There are so many dive opportunities there. We spend most of our time in Key Largo, but if you want to see some really nice, along the line of like Willemstad, a lot of architecture that has history, and it's just a lot of great shopping. Again, it's a little expensive, but you're in the continental U.S., and there's just great diving opportunities all up and down all the keys there. Heading out to Key West and spending at least a day or two is just awesome. I mean, you can just walk everywhere there. It's beautiful. I have a nice little naval base there. If you're able to get on the base and kind of do the tour thing, it's kind of neat. Okay, our first big deep dive ever there was on this ship, the USS Spiegel Grove, and it was.
What's he
awesome.
welding?
That's his light.
Oh, it looked like he was.
Oh, wait a minute. That might be a torch. That might be a torch. I see a hose. So he was probably either.
Looked like he's doing cutouts.
He might be cutting out for a swim through, or he might be kind of roughing the edge.
Yeah.
To putting making it more smooth by melting it.
Yeah.
In the cold water there. But it's a huge ship. You can't dive it all in one tank. Lots of great swim throughs there. It's just gorgeous. It's a lot of fun. I love diving on wrecks. I can't say enough about it. And then back out to Key West, you've got the Vandenberg, which Tara and I were fortunate enough to time a trip to dive on it just a month after they sunk it, which was awesome. And that is a pretty stiff current most of the time that goes through there. And as a matter of fact, sometimes they won't, if they go out there and they see the current is too strong, they won't let you dive on it. But as you can see, they kept a lot of the cool attachments, like the satellite dish.
Oh yeah.
Actually, they have several on there, but it's a deep dive. That's 100 foot to the superstructure. And again, just a lot of fun, a lot of great swim throughs. They have actually have scooter races on this thing, and they have people come up with their own like fancy modified scooters.
Oh wow!
All sorts of attachments or painting on it, stuff like that. Yes, even totally custom made ones, and they have races going from one end to the other and back. It's pretty cool. So that would be fun just to watch that.
Yeah.
But awesome diving in Florida. Just can't say enough good things about it. All right, here we go. This year we went to Grand Cayman, and of course one of the big attractions there is the Tortuga Rum Factory. And we brought back a lot of rum cake. We had a lot of rum cake while we were there, and we brought a lot of rum cake back. And it's just kind of neat. They have a lot of relics there from the early days of the island when the pirates did come through there and do their thing.
I like those pirates.
I'm sure you do. But you get the nice little tour. You can see their factory and how they actually make the rum. They have windows where you can see into everything. It's pretty cool. They actually have multiple locations on the island, but their main one is in town, and so you can go and check it out and buy a lot of various T-shirts and trinkets and all. It's commercialized.
It's commercialized. Yeah.
Curios, all that fun stuff. But it's just a beautiful island. And of course, you just can't miss Stingray City if you go there. It's an experience. I can tell you, it's an experience like no other. You've seen, if you've watched previous podcasts, you've seen some of the video that we had of that, and it's really weird to touch one of these for the first time, and it's weird to feed one, but they're just so used to people. It's just a surreal experience. Just don't let this experience make you think you can go out in the rest of the island or elsewhere and grab a hold of stingrays. They will pierce you.
Yeah.
These won't, but the ones out in the more wild areas will. And of course, my favorite, if there's any type of diving, as far as conditions, I guess, that is my favorite. It's doing swim-throughs. I love doing swim-throughs out at Lake Amistad, which we have a few. And there are a number of sites there in Grand Cayman that have some of the most impressive swim-throughs and little canyons that I've ever been diving in. And I could spend a whole week just on those dive sites. So those are a lot of fun because you see a lot of huge tarpon hanging around there because they like those too. It's just swim-throughs are the thing. Yeah. You got to get a little brave for some of them because some of them are kind of tight.
They're a little tight,
but they're tight like a tiger. but they are worth it. They're so much fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that takes us back to the beginning here. So back to full shot. So see if there's any more comments. Nope, not yet. All right. So next item up for bids. Wanted to chat a little bit about UV night diving. I have to confess, I read a lot, but I'd never really read about UV diving until we got to Cayman. We did our night dive on that Monday, and the dive operation we went with said, okay, you guys wanted to do a night dive. You can do regular lights or you can do UV lights. And I'm like, UV lights? I know I think of like black lights and what that does to stuff. But I thought, well, we've all got regular lights. And so I don't want to go out and rent or buy special lights to do UV dive. And plus, since this was going to be his first night dive ever, I didn't want to be have him be in unfamiliar territory when the rest of us are in unfamiliar territory. With a dive master or no. You just don't want to. You don't want to put yourself in a situation that you haven't experienced something like it before. So I started reading up on a little bit of that, and I found it kind of interesting here's the benefit of doing a UV dive on a night dive. This is regular brain coral.
Wow.
But this is what it looks like with UV. So you can see the different microorganisms that react to ultraviolet light.
The ultraviolet light.
I'm like, well, that is pretty impressive.
Oh,
Isn't that amazing? I mean, this is okay. I think I'm sold on this.
Yeah, that is awesome. And then getting some shots of that at night.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. Look at that. That's just impressive. Because they all, depending on the micro or the organism, their color reaction in UV would be different. So I said, okay, well, what does this cost to do this? And believe it or not, there is hardly anything out there as far as UV lights for underwater. This was by far the most common one I found, HQRP. And these are like $25 to $35.
That's it?
Yes. I was expecting, okay, this is going to be a very expensive dive light. No,
I would
not so much.
So.
Yeah. So $25 to $35, you can get these. And basically, this is a BC light. So you could just carry this with you as a third light.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Now, obviously, you would not want to use this and could not use this to actually illuminate your way.
No,
like we do on a regular dive.
Right.
So this would be a backup type light.
I wonder what one of those would look like if you shine it at a catfish.
Oh, that would be awesome. I may have to get one of these just.
We got to try it.
Yeah, we do. That's pretty cool. And, for that minimal investment. So one thing I didn't look at to see if this is regular, if this is LED or regular bulb type. If this is like a UV filter or what. But $25, $35, you can get yourself a UV light and then go on these UV dives. And obviously, that's to see stuff like that.
Some awesome stuff.
That is impressive. I wish I'd said yes now.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Although I wouldn't have gotten that great shot of the octopus.
No. That was cool.
That was absolutely tremendous. All right. Well, actually, we're running earlier than we normally do, even though we're running longer than our hour. Just a reminder for those who happen to be in the Del Rio, the greater Del Rio, Uvalde, Eagle Pass, Comstock, Rock Springs,
anywhere
area. I will be in the latest Upstagers production, Remember Me, that's it's going to be showing November 1st, 2nd, 8th, and the 9th. Had rehearsal today, as a matter of fact. It's a pretty busy day for me, and I had a rehearsal. Working on a couple of the big scenes in this. It is really a funny show, and kind of a romantic comedy kind of setup. It's a lot of fun. So if you're in the area, we'd love to have you come downtown to the historic San Felipe area of Del Rio and Main Street, and go to the world-renowned Paul Polk Theater, which used to be the Rita Theater. Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
Love to see you out there and see me in a totally different light than you see me here. Let's hit a little bit of that administrivia. So next Del Rio Dive Club meeting is 17 October 2013 at 7 p.m. at Rudy's Restaurant. And we do not have any more Balmorhea State Park dive trips scheduled, but imagine if enough of the locals here decide to get together and do it. We certainly could. It's probably going to be easier to get like a cabin up there as the temperature starts to drop out. And we've kind of talked about the possibility of just doing a late season.
The water is it's constant, so it's just getting out of the water. You're gonna have to make a break.
I think in order to see how well we do with that, we'd have to go out to San Felipe Creek.
Yeah.
And just sit up there, do the tent thing or whatever, and just kind of do a couple of dives, get out and see. I was like, do we want to do this all the way? Drive 4 hours to do this?
You know what? I'm game with that. You know, just get it. I know the water's going to be warm. It's just getting out of the water that's going to be the trick.
So true.
We did it in January.
Yeah, we did. Well, no, that was February.
It was the coldest.
Yes.
It was windy, rainy.
It was bad.
God,
But I didn't want to get out of the water. The water was comfortable.
the water was awesome. I mean, you could have stayed in there.
Yep.
It was so warm.
It was great.
But yeah, getting out.
Getting out.
Man, I've never seen you run.
Oh,
you ran
man.
to your trailer.
Get to the trailer. Get to the trailer. And I do, all of my official classes are done for this year. But I can do by request, and I actually am doing one the first weekend in October. I've got somebody who's doing the electronic e-learning portion for the academic, and then we'll go out here and do the swimming and open water stuff. So it'll be, hopefully the weather will stay decent.
I'm sure it will.
So we'll see. You can contact us through our Facebook page, Del Rio Dive Club, or send us a message via Skype at Two Guys Who Dive, or just visit our website, delriodiveclub.com, and would love to interact with you. But there's no more funner way to interact with us than to interact with us via our chat room when we're doing the show live. You know, you can always catch us on the YouTube afterward. We upload the show to our YouTube channel after the podcast, and we make sure everything came out okay. But it's more funner if we can interact with you live and in person on the...
You know, we got some questions today, real good questions from people asking about, our discussions. And if we can be of help or assistance, that's why we do that.
That is why we do it.
You know.
Now, if you'd like to contact ScubaBob, you can send him an email at rsgarza821@yahoo.com, or follow him on the Twitter. Follow him on the Twitter at rsgarza435.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can follow me on the Twitter at robertcfp, Charlie Fox Papa. Or you can send me an email via robert.wade@cetifox.net. And like ScubaBob, I do not have people who read my email for me. I do it all in person.
That's right.
So I'd love to hear from you, your questions, your suggestions. And obviously, when you go to our YouTube, when you go to the YouTube channel and you see our shows up there, subscribe.
Yeah.
That way you get the heads up when we upload them. Because I always post it on Facebook and Twitter when we've got those uploaded. But
that's correct.
No better way than to have like a pull system where you get notified as soon as it happens, all automatically by the system.
And most phones now do push notifications.
Yes, they do. Enjoy the technology. Use the technology.
Use it.
Speaking of that, we had kind of a small get together of some of the guys from church. Most of us are we're kind of building up new relationships at church, and we have a number of us who are kind of involved with like the media department or praise and worship, where it all kind of works together. So we're all, for the most part, we're kind of tech heads to various degrees. And it just so happens that most of us actually have Windows phones.
Oh,
we had one iPhone and one Android user, but we were kind of just sharing, okay, well, how do you do this, how do you do that, and trying to encourage everybody in the group to fully utilize technology, because regardless of the device you have, the ecosystem you're using, they have tremendous amounts of capability that most people never scratch the surface of.
You know, and that's a good point, because the thing with me is, like I always get, like from my wife's like, well, what do you need this for, and what do you want that for, you know? Look, I use it, you know, I do various different things, you know, it's like, well, if I get a computer, you know, I'm like looking at the specs, she's like, all you needed to do is just turn on. No, that's not what I do. You know, it might be good for you, but for me, I needed to do certain things. I need certain specific hardware installed on it. I need, you know, certain things, because we do different things.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the same thing, you know, it's like, well, that's an expensive phone, you know. Do I really need that much storage? Well, you know what? You'll have it longer. You'll be able to use it more. You know, so the benefits are in the long run. You know, don't just look at it as
and it's usually a good idea, if you can afford to buy up. In other words, if you say, I only needed to do this, you can definitely get really good prices for things that do your basic things you want to do. But allow yourself the opportunity to go, I wish that I'd been able to do this, but my machine isn't capable of doing it. And that's true with a computer. That's true with a smartphone.
Yeah.
It's even true with cars.
Yeah.
Anything that you acquire, look at where you might grow into.
The biggest thing back when this was real big word, like towers, computer towers, was expandability.
Yep.
Is can I expand that? Can I add more memory? Can I add more
better video
PCI cards and things like that? Do I have the expansion capabilities on the motherboard? Most people would like just buy something like, well, I want to add this to it. Sorry, you can't because you'd have to replace the whole motherboard and probably the case because you don't have the slot for it or whatever. So with me, I would always go on the higher end and leave room for expansion for myself because I knew as technology changes, you want to add something and, there's always something newer coming out.
That's right.
So that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, it is. Real quick, our producer, my wife, Tara, while we were enjoying this bromance getting together yesterday and watching Star Trek Into Darkness. Love that movie.
Yeah.
My wife is off with doing the girl thing out at a big scrapbooking convention in San Marcos, Texas.
Wow.
So they headed out, they got up at dark 30 on Friday, and all of them headed up there, and they spent all day there. And basically, I think the original plan was, and I knew they couldn't stick to plan, the original plan, I think they were going to get up, they were going to spend the night because they were going to be having fun, all that. And then they were going to do like a breakfast brunch kind of thing, and then maybe hit something on the way back, but basically they were going to come back. I thought, well, they might be back about the time or just before my rehearsal. Mm-hmm. No. They decided to do this shopping, go to Hobby Lobby, do all this. Suddenly they extended it to a full day, second day there. And so I got a text at like 6 o'clock. Hey, we're at Olive Garden. I'm like, oh, man. So, and then they were doing, I guess they were going to be hitting, they wanted to hit Starbucks on the way back.
Oh, okay.
So I might see her about 11 o'clock.
You might see her at dark 30.
At 11 o'clock, I'm like, you know what? Church is going to come awfully early in the morning.
Yeah. So she's going to be tired.
Yeah. But I'm just glad she's having a good time.
Yeah, that's
that's the thing. When you have a really good, when you have a good relationship in a marriage, you can go off and do your things and come back, and you can rejoice in that they got to go off and do the girl thing. I got to go off and do the guy thing because it's not like we're going out to strip bars or something like that.
Right.
We were here at the house having tons of pizza and chips and sodas and, eating all the stuff that's not good for you and talking spiritual stuff, talking tech, talking
Star Trek,
science fiction in general. I mean, it's just fun to get to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And like this, getting to do a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
How many people do you know?
I'm telling you.
Exactly.
When I was talking to my compadres, they hadn't really seen it. So we got on YouTube and they were like, where's this at? I'm like, well, this is actually takes place at his house. He set all this up. So they were like, that is pretty cool. So what can you talk about? I'm like, pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Get on the chat room and, shoot us out.
Steer the conversation.
Yeah, we'll definitely engage in it. So, that's why I kind of was like, well, I'm not sure if they're watching, but they probably will. So
yeah. So we definitely encourage you to participate because we'll go down wherever it's safe, and we try to keep this a fairly family friendly show.
Right.
But we'll, if you're seriously wanting to interact and steer the conversation, we'll entertain it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'll entertain any kind of conversation or anything, but again, this is being recorded and it's uploaded. So if there's something that needs to be said or be done, we give our private information out there. So if you want to shoot me an email or something, or you disagree with something that I said or don't like me, just shoot me an email or send me.
Yeah, we'll unfriend you quickly.
I said shoot me an email so I can block you.
That's right.
I'll spam you.
We'll block you on Twitter and all of that.
No, but
Awesome.
it's like anything else. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and there's times when Robert and I will go back and forth with something.
Oh yeah.
But it's all in. We
have fun with it.
It's all in fun. It's never taken seriously. Exactly, because he knows that I'm just kind of I'm knocking it.
Yeah.
And, I'll throw a couple of shots and then I stop because that's just, that's just so we play around.
Yeah.
Like I got asked again, what is it with you and the window? There's nothing with it. Actually, I actually like the phone. It's got an awesome camera. And I was actually talking to Dominic.
How's he doing, by the way?
He's doing okay. He just got back from Florida.
He meeting up with his girlfriend, right?
Yeah, his girlfriend, and he's having a grand old time.
Well, that's good. Now we just got to get him back in the water.
Yeah.
Good grief. It's been 2 years, 3 years.
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years now. So we got to get him back in the water.
So anyway, you were talking to Dominic.
Yeah, I was talking to Dominic, and he was asking me some of the difference between the iPhone, and I was kind of telling him, I said, well, the 5S has a better camera and specs like that. And I don't know if I have I think I still
Well, you won't be able to show it on that one.
Well, I won't be able to show it, but I have the text message where I actually mentioned the Nokia Lumia and the camera that it has, and it's got an awesome camera. I was kind of if you're looking for something that's an awesome phone with an awesome camera, the Nokia is your way to go if you don't have a problem with the Windows operating system, because that's what it's running. But the phone itself is awesome. I even compared. I mean, you can look at planets with that thing. I mean, it's just so good. And I'm serious. I was serious. But I'll joke about it and say, well, Windows Phone is not doing so. That's just friendly banter. Right. So guys at home, please don't take it serious.
Yeah. We still like each other. We still have a good time. If I can just get you to actually be on the podcast more often, it would be.
And then Troy too is like, I joke with Troy too. He's kind of throws little jabs at me on Twitter, which is cool. I like that. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy having a good time with people that I enjoy being with. So hey, the more the merrier.
That's right. And if you happen to be in the Del Rio area, and you don't have to be a diver, but if you are actually interested in being here in the studio to participate in the podcast, we've done that a number of times. Nick has been on here a couple times, and of course Troy's been here a few times, and we've even had Gay and Trish involved in the show. So we got microphones galore going here, and so we can accommodate. We'd love to have additional people show up and just kind of share. I talked to one of my friends, Mike Steed, who he's got the 1020. He's just loving the camera. And he was an iPhone user, but he's like, I like the camera. But so he's still getting used to what can I do with it. But he was at our little get together, and I talked to him about, because he's the proud owner of Can Do Details. Oh, okay. So he does the automobile detailing. He's got he's kind of like the dive operation. He's got a totally mobile setup. He'll go anywhere and he'll fully detail your vehicle. He does an awesome job. But he's like, oh, can I come on and talk about my business? I said, sure, I have no problem with that. You come on and we'll talk about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. He actually used to detail my truck sometime back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, that's when actually the automated
yes, he was working with that.
Yeah, he was when the car wash was there where
Fuddruckers
was at back in the day.
Yes, I barely remember that.
Oh man, I used to go there all the time, pay $6, get my car washed, and they put armor on the inside. Yeah. And he was there, and then he actually separated himself and went into his own detail shop. Yeah. And he does really good work, and it was
he
cool.
basically retired from working out at the base just to function on that and doing that. So we'll bring you on. You don't have to be a diver. No. We'd like to encourage you to be a diver, but we'll bring you on board and just bring you in the group and just start talking about all sorts of good, fun stuff, whatever is keeps the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, that finishes us up this week. As always, we have a great time, and we'd love to have you involved in the show. But just make sure you contact us, share your thoughts, and we will see you again next week on another exciting episode of Two Guys Who Dive.
See ya.